Hey math class. Okay, so we've been kind of talking about decimal points all quarter long, and we haven't really talked too much about what the places all mean. And so just to sort of get us all onto the same page for a discussion that we'll have in the next couple of days, I just want to make sure that we're all kind of understanding some key things. So on this side of the decimal point, all these numbers kind of here in this lime green, these are the whole numbers, right? These are the whole numbers. And we would say this 1,312. And I would say that this right here, the 2 is in the ones place. This 1 right here, that's 2 spots over, that's in the tens place, right? Because that would be like the $10 place, kind of. The 3, he's in the hundreds place. And the 1 that's right there, this we call the thousands place. Hopefully this sort of sounds familiar, and this is the reason that we would say this 1,312. The same is true on the other side of the decimal point. So kind of from like here over, right? If there's my decimal point is kind of the line. The 4, the place, we've kind of been talking about it as 0.4, but technically this is what's called the tenths place. Tenths. So it sounds like 10, but it has a THS on the end of it instead of just an S. And we say it tenths. And we'll kind of talk about what that leads us to believe in a second. The next place over, we've been sort of talking about it as, this is the cents place. If we need to round to the nearest cent, we go out 2 places here because that's what we deal with in money. But it has another name, and that is the hundredths place. So again, it looks like 100, but it's got this THS thing on the end of it. And then this other color green, this place is the thousandths place, and it goes out from here, but these are kind of the 3 that we're going to work with specifically in class. And here's kind of what this all means. These numbers here are the ones that are smaller than 1, right? So these are the ones that are like a fraction. And if you think of that, so going this way, oh, that pen's not very good. Going that way, the numbers here are always going to get bigger on the whole number side of things, right? I say it many times. I'd much rather have, $100,000 than just $100, right? As you go out, it gets bigger on this side. But as we go from the decimal point over, the number actually gets smaller. The numbers get smaller, and it's all because they're fractions. So just what we've been working with. I think that decimals are always so much more approachable than fractions, but they really are the same thing. And so let's kind of look at another way to write something. So if I say right here, I have 4/10, I could say that was this, right? A 0.4 behind the decimal point. But it's going to mean the same thing as 4/10. Because wouldn't we say this the same way, this fraction? We would say this fraction, 4/10, right? 4/10, it's all the same thing. These fractions are equivalent to each other. The decimal fraction and the fraction are equivalent to each other. What was my other number? If I had 8/100ths, so if I'd have to put a 0 in front of him in order for it to be in the hundredths place, 2 behind the decimal point. If I had 8/100ths, this is the same as 8/100. because I would say this the same way, 8 hundredths. 8 hundredths, because it's in the hundredths place, and 8 hundredths. And then the last example that I gave you, I think that was in green, it was 2 thousandths. So again, I would have to bump it back a couple of spots behind the decimal point in order to get it into that thousandths place, 2 thousandths, but then it would be the same as this, 2 over 1,000. So, and an easy way to sort of think of this, how many spots behind the decimal point is this 4? Well, he's only 1 spot behind the decimal point, right? How many zeros do I have there? 1. This guy, how many spots behind the decimal point is that 8? Well, he's 2 behind the decimal point. So that means that there'll be 2 zeros underneath if I were writing the fraction. And this one, I have 3 spots behind the decimal point. So I have 3 zeros behind it. So why is this important? Well, this is how we're going to be kind of dealing with it. If I had this mixed number, 5 3/10, and I wanted you to write this as a decimal point, there's a couple of different steps to think about. So I'm going to have my equal sign here. Here's my decimal point. This 5, he's a whole number over here in this mixed number, right? He's a whole number here in fraction land. He's going to remain a whole number to the left side of that decimal point. So just like our picture from before, all of our whole numbers are going to be on the left side. So he's going to stay right here on that side. But this guy, so 3/10, right? It's similar to this 4/10 guy that we were looking at before, and he was 10 has 1 0, so he's going to be 1 spot behind the decimal point. So all we're going to do is that 5 3/10, this means the same as 5 3/10. It feels like it should be harder than this, right? Let's look at another example. If I have 12 and, I don't know, we'll do 7 over 100. If I have 12 7/100 as my mixed number, how am I going to write that over here as a fraction? Well, it's written as a fraction. How am I going to write it over here as a decimal? I'm going to put my decimal point down there. So again, 12, he's a whole number. He's going to stay a whole number right there on the left side of the decimal point in the whole number spot. And then 7/100, so 7/100 is sort of like this 0.08 over 800 thing, right? 2 decimal points, so I'm going to go 2 zeros, so I'll go 2 places behind the decimal point. So I would go 0. Oh, I was writing 8 like my example, and it needs to be 7 because that's what's right there. So the 7 I would move to be 2 behind the decimal point. And we'll practice this a little bit. It's mostly important to kind of just know about when you get to the next math class. And they will build upon it and kind of more of the tips and tricks of converting back and forth between these fractions and decimals when you get there. So hopefully this makes a little bit more sense, and we will deal more with them in class.